So our next presentation is the Uungula Wind Farm. The Uungula Wind Farm is currently in the development phase in the New South Wales Central Coast region, about 14 kilometres east of Wellington. The project includes a proposed 97 wind turbines and optionality for energy store facility, and will have generation capacity in order of 400 megawatts. Following anticipated approval in mid-2021, the project is anticipated to commence approximately 2.5-year construction period late this year or early 2022. So please welcome CWP Renewables Project Manager and Head of Construction, Brendan McAvoy, to the stage.
Thanks, Nicola. Thanks for having us, everyone. As Nicola said, I'm on here with our Head of Construction, Brendan McAvoy. I'm the Project Manager of the Uungula Wind Farm project. It's a project in development, quite an advanced stage of development. How we're going to do this today is I'm going to talk a little bit about the context of where the project is at now in the development phase and a bit of what we're proposing it to be. And then I'll hand over around halfway to Brendan to talk a little bit about CWP's approach to procurement and contracting on this project. We're pretty far flung with this digital conference. So I'm in Newcastle, Brendan's in Canberra, and the project's in the Central West. So I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of Newcastle, Canberra and the Central West, the Awabakal, Ngunnawal and Wiradjuri people, and acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. We are a full life cycle renewable energy developer, constructor and asset manager, owner and asset manager. A few headline numbers there, bottom left. We've developed 760 megawatts of renewable energy, managing nearly a gigawatt, and I'm pretty excited about a pipeline of over 7 gigawatts of capacity. So as I said, I'll begin just giving you a bit of an idea of the where this project is at. The name is pronounced Uungula, and it has proved to bring a few people unstuck in the past and probably will in the future. So where we are in New South Wales, there you can see Sydney on the bottom right. What's in the tan colour there, indicative location, is the Central West Orana Renewable Energy Zone, which is, for those who may be familiar and others maybe not, a New South Wales government initiative to encourage renewable energy investment and development in particular parts of New South Wales, and this is where the Uungula project is located. You can see there's a green dot near the bottom of the southern end of the res, as it's shortened to be called. Green dot in the centre is Uungula. So a bit more context locationally, it's located east of Wellington, west of Gulgong and Mudgee and north of Lake Burrendong. It's in late stages of planning approval. It's a state significant development under the New South Wales EP&A Act and a controlled action under the EPBC Act. So we're going through final approvals under both of those. As Nicola mentioned, we're aiming for a generation capacity of 400 megawatts and up to a proposed 97 wind turbines, optionality of an energy storage facility, and what comes with it, the ancillary infrastructure to operate it and connect to the network, and the temporary facilities to build it. This is a bit of a sort of zoomed in context, I suppose, of the project layout. The real take home I'm trying to sort of impart is that there's a wind farm and it's all those blue dots proposed over on the right hand side of the page. The green and blue squares in amongst it are the proposed compound, substation options or battery options, and reticulated by low voltage and high voltage connection out to the existing grid, sort of in the centre north of the page there. But the thicker blue line shows how we would access the project. And that comes down from the Golden Highway in the north, but probably most relevant is that, see where all the red and white dashed and green and white dashed lines join together? That's the Wellington substation. There's an intersection there where the 12-mile road starts and comes off what's called the Uungula Road. And that's the departure from the regional road network and onto the local road network. And as part of the project planning process and consultation process, we have committed to an upgrade of the 12-mile road to get into the project. So that has formed part of our proposed project and our planning application, and what we're seeking approval for. So that's about 14 kilometres of local road upgrade. Even more zoomed in is that particular intersection I was talking to earlier, and that coming from the west, wind turbine blades can't turn very sharp corners, some of you may be aware. So coming from the west, the existing road, it is a great geometry because you could go straight through, but during the assessments and consultation with agencies, our proposed traffic generation during construction would really put the current intersection into essentially a not safe state, so that it's been agreed amongst all Council and Transport for New South Wales that the intersection would have to be moved. So this is also forming part of our project. In grey there is the existing road, and in blue is the proposed upgrade. So the proposed upgrade is not only an upgrade, it's a building of 400 metres or so of new road across a paddock to create a new tie into the main road. I've given you these sense of roadworks just to give you an idea that there's more to this construction than just the wind turbine and wind farm array. To give you a sense of timeline as well, is that running across the top there's quite an elongated timeline from the first time someone from CWP Renewables found some windy hills and some willing landholders to bring this through. For various reasons, things were a little bit slowed through the 2013 sort of period. But up to where we are now, we've really had a good, really active last few years, really bringing us right through to the anticipated development approvals, forecast in 2021 and hopefully in the next few months. That being so, we are hopeful of construction commencing at the end of this year, Q4 2021, and with a predicted 2.5-year construction timeline, should be operational in 2023. So the bottom part of the graphic there just gives you a sense of the New South Wales planning system for any of those who might have played in this space before, where between responding to submissions and the department assessment process. So we're receiving some RFIs and providing more information to the DPIE to make their assessment. Put up here some facts and figures that we engaged a consultant to do an economic benefit study that formed part of our consultation on the project and our EIS to demonstrate some of the benefits economically that the project might generate. So you can see there are some numbers that expected employment generation in the order of 250 FTE full-time equivalent jobs directly on the project over that construction period. Obviously, in the construction of a wind farm, there's less labour-intensive parts and more labour-intensive parts, but as an average, that's the roundabout number, with flow-on effects to another 400 FTE jobs. So just the wages of those positions of $10 million, and that it's likely that more than half of it will be spent in the local region. That then flows on to additional services jobs in those areas, Wellington and Dubbo regions, and then going on throughout the operations period, something like 12 full-time equivalent positions with directly on the project, 35 in an indirect capacity around that. And then over time, some pretty substantial injections of cash into the local economy and rates to council. I think it's a good time there to hand over to Brendan, who will talk a little bit about our approach to construction and procurement.
Thanks, Matt. So morning, everyone. So as Matt said, look, I'm the head of construction, so I look after the construction side, obviously, and also the project management office. And if you want to jump to the next slide, Matt. I guess Uungula is the 5th project that we're bringing through from financial close, from development through to construction and operations. And it is the biggest one that CWP will have delivered. The one sort of before that is about 270 megawatts up at Sapphire. So 400 megawatts is certainly to the larger end. I guess there's a number of lessons learned that we've got through delivering these projects previously. And I'll talk to those shortly, but just in terms of the time frame. So as Matt said, this project's been around since 2008, but really, I guess the procurement side started early to mid last year, where we reached out to the OEMs and are in conversations with the leading suppliers of the turbines. On the 29th of January, we actually went out to a tender process for EPC contracts for BOP. We're also looking at separating the HV side of the works and the OEM packages. Now, the intent is that, I guess, sort of over this month and through to March, we start getting the responses back. What we're looking at, and realising that the contractual mechanism has changed over the years, and I guess we started off with a consortium arrangement and a full wrap. That sort of changed to a prime and subcontractor arrangements. But we're looking this time really to go back to that consortium full EPC wrap between the OEMs and the BOP providers. It's really around, I guess, the risk allocation and risk sitting with the party that's best placed to deal with that. So we will be talking to, I guess, the BOP providers and the OEMs. We're looking at the HV, talking to the likes of TransGrid, but also we're putting it out to the market to get some feedback around that. So I guess we're looking to reach financial close by the end of this year, as Matt said, and hoping to get straight on delivering that. So I guess a key date for people on this conference is really we're wanting to be selecting our preferred contractors by mid-year, around about July, and then there'll be a process that they engage with subcontractors and industry to actually form that package. So by all means, there'll be opportunities to input into that procurement sort of to the back end of this year. If you want to jump to the next slide, Matt. So we have delivered a number of these projects now, and we're wearing the scars on some of the lessons learned. And it's really about what I want to do on the rest of the presentation is give you a bit of feedback on what we're looking for. And some of it is self-explanatory and probably what we're all looking for. But there are small things, I guess, that really play an important part from the client's perspective. And bearing in mind that, I guess, we're reporting through to the major banks, the lenders, equity. We've got PPA providers that are really after clear updates and accurate updates. So you can see, obviously, price is always going to be a key factor in the decision. But there are 4 particular areas I just want to talk to, and it's around safety, it's around the team, it's around sort of program management and quality as well. And look, CWP ourselves have matured over the years, and to the extent that last year we actually got ISO accreditation on our systems, on our quality, safety and environmental systems, which is a really real plus for ourselves, but it's setting the expectation of what we expect from our contractors as well. So start with safety, and obviously everybody is focused on safety and delivering projects as safely as we can. There's a couple of things that we're really trying to drive a different approach. And looking at the number 3, it's the proactive and generative culture, and really around lead indicator reporting. What we've found in the industry is KPIs around lag indicators, sort of your lost time injury frequency rates and your TRIFRs, are well established, but the horse is already bolted when we're considering those incidents. And we want to put much more emphasis on the lead indicators, so number of inspections, the quality of those inspections, what are the hazards identifying, and really looking around the corner and trying to see, I guess, where the risks are. And leading on to that is transparency in that reporting. We know that the contractors and tier 1 contractors and others are actually putting a great emphasis on those lead indicators, but unfortunately the contractual mechanism that we have, being the client, we don't necessarily see some of that analysis, and that makes it difficult for us to explain, I guess, when we're reporting upwards, some of those lead indicators. So one of the things that we want to build into the contracts moving forward is some KPIs around analysis of hazards and really driving that proactive nature. Jumping on, Matt. The second part is really the team, and what we're not going to be looking at mainly is the company's experience. So we really want to focus in on the team, and we've been burnt or we've seen projects derailed when, I guess, there's a turnover of staff. We get certain individuals at the start and they're swapped out. It really causes some complications in delivering the project. So what we want to be seeing from our contractors through the tender process is really who is the team, and what are contractors doing to actually keep that team in place through the life of the project. And it's really getting the right people in the right roles, but also resourcing adequately from day one. And so that's a key area. It's something that we really want to delve into through this tender process. The next one really is around do you want to jump to the next slide, Matt? Is around the program. So we want to see resource loaded Gantt charts. We want transparency in that process. It's very difficult from a client's perspective to sort of monitor the works and have confidence in the milestones and the deliveries if we're not seeing that level of detail in the programs that are being presented to us. So the second point there, accurate and timely reporting, it may seem minor in the grand scheme of things, but we've got very tight timeframes that we need to report to boards and to lenders and to PPA providers, and really having that timely reporting is essential from our perspective, and having accuracy and faith that, I guess, the information in the reports is up to date. It's not delayed. It's not lagging. What's reality is really key. The other part of this is really looking at some of the tools around that program management. We expect an accurate short-term look ahead, and sort of what we've seen previously is sort of programs 4-week look aheads being circulated that are pretty much out of date from day one, and nobody's really working to those programs, and it leads to a lot of questions around, well, what are we actually doing? And it doesn't really help the teams delivering either, not just from a client perspective. We want a robust process that we've got confidence that everybody's working to the same goal. And as I say, looking around corners, trying to identify where the bottlenecks are, where the risks are, and working together to try and alleviate some of those. And the final one really is quality, and obviously it goes without saying, when the pressure's on and programs are behind and I guess costs are blowing out, quality is often the first thing that sort of is impacted. But we don't want that. We want to really have those robust quality control processes in place from day one, that we've all got trust that regardless of where we are on the program and if there's slippage, we're following a standard process that I guess is going to deliver the outcomes that we want. It's doing it right first time is essential. I mean, so many times we've seen, not just in renewables, but me personally, sort of things being rushed and having to redo the work right at the end, which puts pressure on everybody. And when people want to be out, it really makes it very difficult. So we've got to maintain the quality throughout the project, and we've got to really deliver, I guess, the technical specifications that are agreed in the contract. Obviously, if we can do things easier or better, that's always opportunities that we're looking for. But sort of changing the technical specifications as we move through the process is often problematic from our end as well. So look, I guess some very obvious things there, but I did want to just flag some of those areas that I guess we will be looking at as we evaluate these tenders, but also future tenders, and some of the important lessons that we've picked up from the delivery of the previous 4 projects. So that's it from myself and Matt. Nicola, happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll toggle between mute and anybody please jump in. I did have a couple of quick questions, and can I say it's refreshing to see up front such an incredibly robust quality and safety focus. And those in the audience that know me know that is pretty much the entirety of my background, something I'm very passionate about, and something that we often don't see in the very conception of procurement for major projects. I ask one question in that regard, though. You were talking about the TRIFR or the TRIFR, and for new players at home, that's your total recordable incident frequency rate. When we're small players, small to medium businesses in the marketplace, one recordable incident, when you do the comparison formula to your working hours, can make your TRIFR appear a very high number. How would a smaller supply chain member directly engage with the project at a high TRIFR number that may on paper present as not the most safest organisation to deal with, and actually talk to you about the key people, something else you mentioned, the key people in their team, their initiatives, and what that number truly represents, so that they're not put to the side, I guess?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question, Nicholas. So we obviously, the benchmark throughout the industry is the TRIFR and the lost time, but we recognise, and we have this on our operational sites as well, where we generally have about 8 people, and one incident can really send the TRIFR to numbers like 80 or 90, and it does distort that. Whereas on the construction sites, you do see a lower TRIFR. What we want to be seeing though is what are people doing around the lead indicators? So how many inspections, how many hazard inspections are people doing per month to actually try and eliminate some of those incidents? How thorough are people going through that process? Are they analysing those incidents? But we understand that people do take 5s pre-starts every single morning and look at the workspace. But who's looking at those findings? Who's analysing, I guess, the trends within those things being picked up and sort of putting measures in place to actually eliminate the incidents? So you could well have a high TRIFR, but if what we're looking for people to do is demonstrate that they've actually got processes to look at those lead indicators, analyse those lead indicators, and yes, there may have been a couple of incidents that have caused a TRIFR, but they've done everything that they can to really manage that. And when I say we're going to be benchmarking those lead indicators, what we've done is we're going to be setting targets for number of inspections per month on our sites, and that's going to be linked to the number of people on site. So it'll be a scalable sort of measure, but it's also going to be linked to some extent to the TRIFR, where if we see a number of incidents and we see the TRIFR rising, we expect people to be doing more and more investigations and hazard inspections to really try and drive that down. But in terms of engaging with us on safety, I wouldn't discourage people doing it if they have got a high TRIFR. But what we would be looking at doing is seeing what they've done to try and manage that through the lead indicators. It's no good, sort of the lag indicators are really too late.
That's so true. We have had a couple of questions come through from our audience as well, and a query whether you anticipate or hope that the turbines themselves will be Australian manufactured.
So look, we've gone out to the 4 leading OEMs, and I don't believe they've got the manufacturing facilities in Australia at this moment in time. It'd be fantastic if it was, especially, look, I mean, with COVID and some of the issues that we had last year, and obviously manufacturing in China and overseas is caused a few headaches. So it would be fantastic if we could manufacture in Australia, but we don't have that capability as yet. But maybe in the future, that's something that we can really sort of look to.
It's something I think as a nation we've suffered in the last 5 to 10 years in manufacturing sector in particular. Hopefully innovative projects like this one will actually light a fire under some of our politicians to help supporting that infrastructure and bring higher level specialist manufacturing back to Australia so that we can build our own. Would be nice. Do you agree?
Most definitely, yes. But I mean, that'd be fantastic. And in terms of, like Matt was saying, local industry participation as well, CWP put a lot of value on that. We try and engage with local contractors always. We certainly support our lead principal contractors engaging from the local community. So that's something that we put a lot of emphasis on.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. I look forward to seeing everything unfold and shape. Matthew, Brendan, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Nicola.
Thanks for having us.